Alright, so we will continue with some more examples of multi-stage problems, and I really encourage you to try to pause it and give these a try, because just watching someone else do it is not going to make it sink in. Really, you have to solve them on your own first. So if you haven't already, give it a pause, and then when you're ready, press play for the answers. So still more multi-stage problems. We're being asked basically how many outcomes are there in each situation. And I put those two questions there that we want to consider. How many stages are there? And how many options at each stage? Okay. So let's say you're going in to buy a car, and they tell you could get a sedan or a hatchback. There are 8 different colors, and there are 5 optional features. So like air conditioning or no. Do you want a GPS or no? Do you want a CD player or no? Because the first question, how many stages or decisions are you making as a car owner? And you have to be careful here. One decision is what model you want. That's a decision. Okay. Another decision is what color you want. That's not 8 decisions, right? It says, I know it says available in 8 colors, but they're not saying, do you want red? Do you want orange? Do you want green? It's just a single decision. What color do you want? And you give them an answer. Okay. And then any combination of 5 optional features. You have to think about this carefully. There's a something called feature 1. Feature 1, let's say it's air conditioning. That's a decision. Now you have a second decision. You have feature 2 that you have to ask about. Then you have to ask about feature 3 and all the way out to feature 5. So that's actually 5 decisions. Colors are not 8 decisions. So you might be confused with that. Why is colors not 8 decisions but options is? Because think about how you would make this decision if you bought a car. You wouldn't, like I said, you wouldn't say, I'm going to make a decision on red, and then I'm going to make another decision on green, and another on blue. That's just one decision. But features, each one of those is a different feature. Air conditioning, that's a decision you have to make. And now, do you want a CD player? That's a totally separate decision. It's not connected like the colors are. Okay, so that's why that's considered 5 decisions. So now we'll ask the second question, how many options are there each time? Well, for model, you have 2. You can get sedan or hatchback. For color, you have 8. And then how does the features work? Well, let me give you that air conditioning example. If a car salesman is trying to sell you a car, what does he say? He says, do you want air conditioning? And how many options do you have? You could say yes, or you could say no. That's 2 options. So that's 2 options. If it's an optional feature, same thing. Do you want CD player or no? That's 2 options. And so it's going to be times 2 times 2 times 2. A faster way of saying this is going to be 2 times 8 times, this whole thing is going to be 2 to the 5th. So 2 times 8 times 2 to the 5th. 2 times 8 is 16, and 16 times 2 to the 5th is going to be, I believe, 512. Let's double check. And there it is, 512. Alright, let's try these other 2. Okay, same questions. How many stages, how many options at each stage? So it says when a button is pressed, you output a random odd number greater than 1. So starting at 3, because 1 can't be included, less than 9. So 3, 5, or 7 are the only numbers. You press the button 5 times. So how many stages are there? There's button press 1, there's button press 2, and so on out to button press 5. How many options at each stage? Well, you could either press 3, you could press 5, you could press 7. So there's 3 options here, there's 3 options here, and each of them is going to have 3. So what's another way of saying 3 times 3 times 3? Is it 5 to the 3rd, or is it 3 to the 5th? Okay, and you can see if you were to multiply that out, it would be 3 to the 5th power. That is the number of decisions. This is the number of options per decision. 3 to the 5th power turns out to be 243. Alright, next 2. Okay, basketball player is taking 7 foul shots, and each one you can either make it or miss it. You can score a point, or you can miss it. How many stages are there? Well, he's taking how many free throws? He's taking 7 free throws. So this is free throw 1, this is free throw 2, and so on out to free throw 7. How many options are there for each action that he's taking? It tells us right here. He can either make it or miss it. That's 2 options times 2 options times all the way to 2 options. So that's another way of saying 2 times 2 times 2 is another way of saying 2 to the 7th, and that's 128 different options. Okay, last one is going to a ham, or not a ham sandwich shop, just a sandwich shop, and they're allowing you to have a number of options. So ham, turkey, and chicken, you have 3 types. You can get white bread or multigrain, and 6 toppings. Okay, so this one is a little bit tricky. This is kind of like the car example. Think about this carefully. How many stages are there? Well, you walk in, you have to make the following decisions. You have to decide on the type of sandwich, so that's a decision. You have to decide on the type of bread, that is another decision. And then here's my question for you. Any combinations of 6 available toppings, how many decisions is that? Is that like one decision for I'm going to take topping 1 instead of topping 5, or is it 6 decisions? And the answer is, this is like the car features example. So they might say, do you want mustard? And you have to decide yes or no. Do you want ketchup? That's yes or no. Right. So this is actually 6 different options, because that's how you order things in a sandwich shop. You don't just kind of, you're going to have to tell the person. You've probably done this before. If you go to a sandwich shop, he's going to go down the line and ask you, I mean, they might ask you, what do you want? But supposing that there are 6 things available, you have to decide on each of them. You know, he's going to say, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? You're going to have to indicate yes or no to what you want. So the next question is, how many options or choices for each? Well, for the bread, for the type of sandwich, we have ham, turkey, chicken. That's 3. For the bread, we have white or multigrain. That's 2. And then how do the toppings work? Well, ketchup, yes or no. That's 2 options. Mustard, yes or no. That's 2 options, and so on. Right. So how do we say this? 3 times 2 is 6. And then 2 times 2 times 2, all those times would be 2 to the 6th power. And I believe that's going to be 384.